Hi, I'm Martin. I'm in American wrestling and I run Harbour Master Productions. So we've played maybe 6 or 7 shows in the last year, which have all been really good. A variety of things from breweries to outdoor amphitheatres to my own 40th birthday party. Does that count? That counts. That was a really nice one. And it's been really good to just take these songs out and sort of see what people think of them. I've been in a lot of bands before where they're essentially recording projects and you sort of take the songs out and play them like you've recorded them, but we haven't recorded much apart from the singles yet. So it's nice to go out and just try out these songs and still be sort of making little adjustments and little changes to them every time we play them live. Finding out if I can actually sing and play the guitar parts at the same time, which so far is going okay. I've nearly learnt all the lyrics now as well. So yeah, the gigs are going much better. And people are really we're getting a lot of nice positive feedback from the people who are coming along. I don't know, there's an organic feel about what we do now, I think, in a way that I haven't always felt in past bands, where it just feels like people who've got together to make some music and we're putting it out there and on stage doing it how we want it to sound. It's very simple as a 3-piece. Which I really like. It takes a lot of the hassle out. But it also, I don't know, there's something about just being in a small unit that feels really tight and sort of together. And I think that just comes across, which is great. I mean, American wrestling has basically been a thing since May of 2025. But we were a band before that called the Railway Club, or just Railway Club. We could never quite decide towards the end. And we released an album 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and then split up. And then one day, Glenn sort of messaged and said, should we do an anniversary gig to sort of celebrate the album coming out 10 years ago? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So we got Grant back and sort of started practicing. And then I was walking home from practice one night and I saw a poster for American wrestling. And all of the plans for sort of the anniversary/reunion stuff for me just went away and a new band happened. Because we'd started writing new stuff as well by accident. So even when we were just technically rehearsing for this reunion, we'd already written like 5 or 6 songs, which were new. You can't do a reunion with new songs. So I think I was probably already starting to look for this new stuff. So yeah, the American wrestling thing happened, which we announced at our first gig back as the Railway Club, that we were changing the name mid-set, which I thought was really clever, but I don't think anyone really... I think people found it vaguely funny. So yeah, we've been together as a concept for a very long time, sort of playing together and practicing together and just hanging out. And then the actual American wrestling still feels very new though. So it feels like a brand new band. And it's a lot of brand new material. And it's very different to what we used to do. I say this a lot, but it's more focused on the actual sort of live stuff. I've never really been in a band where the focus has been on going out and playing the songs. I think most of the bands I've been in the past are sort of, you write the songs, you record them, and then you go out to promote them, or you go out and play them how they sounded in the studio or whatever. Whereas this has been a lot more organic in a way. So we play them in the practice room, we play them live, and then we think about recording them, which is probably just normal for most bands. But as I'm sure people might know, I'm a recording guy as well. I run a studio, I produce music. So we've always done it sort of the wrong way around. So it's quite an interesting way for us to do it, to actually just get together, try songs out, take them out in public, see what people think of them, make a few changes, and then take them into the studio afterwards. Like, some of these songs will actually have been sort of playing for, well, a year, I suppose, before we think about recording them. And that is so rare for us, but yeah, probably just normal for other people. I guess being a 3-piece as well has its limitations, but the limitations work really well. So like in the past, in other bands, we'd maybe struggle with a section of a song. So you'd be like, oh, something needs to change in the bridge. So you go, all right, well, we'll just get the violin player to think of a cool violin part. Like, okay, there, that's easy. Or, not that there's anything wrong with that. Or we'll get, one of the cool musicians to do something cool. Well, now we're just a three-piece. It's like one of us is going to have to do something interesting. So it sort of pushes you to really focus on what you can do with a very small amount of sounds. So I'm doing, I think, probably some really interesting guitar stuff. I'm playing more solos than I intended, but I'm okay with that as long as other people are. It just really makes you sort of focus on whether every single little thing that the three of you are doing is really important. So it's a really fun way to do it. And it's very different to what we used to do, and it's a lot louder. I've sort of let the guitars get more distorted than I previously would. It's a bit more like the music I actually listen to, which is a bonus. I've literally only ever really recorded my own music. Like, whenever I've been in a band, I've always ended up being part of that process, whether I sort of deliberately set out to or not. So recording other people's music is such a treat. They just bring in these songs and they've got all these ideas and all these hopes and dreams. And I get to just play a part in that, whether it's a big part or a little part. I might just press go and they might do all the real work. Or I might be really heavily involved. It just depends on the person and what they want. So it's always such a different experience. And recording your own music can be quite scary in a way, because you don't have the safety net of having someone else there who's going to have ideas if you need them to have ideas. You've sort of got to know what you want, which sounds really simple, but if you've ever wanted your song recorded before, sometimes you don't know what you want. You're like, or you don't know how to achieve it. And then if I don't know how to achieve the sound when I'm recording my own band, how do I do it? It's a tricky one. And sometimes you just want a fresh set of ears. So with some of the American wrestling stuff so far, our first single, I got someone else to mix it because I just needed that little bit of separation. So I recorded it, but then it was really useful to have a fresh set of ears in the mixing. And I've learned a lot from just listening to someone else's mix of it as well. Morning Lights was the next single, which basically just started life as a practice room demo. The drums and bass on that recording were never really meant to get out, but they sounded really good. So it's just like, oh, well, I'll just record the guitars over the top. And then that one basically sort of took care of itself. It just came together by accident. It was never really planned to be a record. So I guess that's a slightly different way to do things. If it's the bonus of recording your own band, is I just set the mics up when we practice, and then if something good happens, it's there, which isn't always an option, and not everyone has the luxury of, obviously. And that's hard to do in a different situation. But the next single was a bit more sort of studio, so we're going to release Plastic at some point over the summer. And that's more like an actual studio recording, so there's like quite a lot of layers and a lot more microphones were involved, but I'll not bore you to death with that. And that's been a bit easier to sort of produce, I guess. But that's, I think, because we played it quite a lot of times live before. Whereas when we first did our first single, we'd maybe only played that song like 5 or 6 times, and then we recorded it. So it was hard to know what I wanted it to sound like. Whereas with the newer stuff, we've been out and we've tried it out, and I know where the sort of build-ups and things go. So it's much easier that we've sort of felt it out in front of an audience as well and sort of seen how it works. Yeah, so it's very different to when other people just bring songs in, because that is a treat.
What's your expectation for your song in the installation?
I'm trying not to have many expectations, because I think I like to sort of detach from things sometimes and just sort of walk into something and experience it as if it's a surprise. Like I didn't even know it was going to happen, because then it's more like, I don't know, it's fresh. So it's a really cool idea. I'm really looking forward to seeing the projection, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's so interesting to be involved in something that I never even knew was possible to do, I suppose. Things like that. So like, yeah, I've been doing music for like, I don't know, forever, but there's still stuff going on that's new. And I just think that's brilliant. So yeah, try not to have any expectations. I'm just going to walk in and sort of see how cool it is. I think the older I get, the more fun I find it to just like sort of be involved in projects where I don't really know what's going on. Especially with this sort of American wrestling stuff, like all of our artwork, I just sort of say, can you just make something? And then I pretty much accept whatever comes back. I might suggest a couple of tweaks, but very rarely. I'm usually just like, yeah, that's brilliant. It's really nice to sort of detach from it a little bit and just let other people be part of the project. So like, it's almost like there's a million other band members because you've got all these different cool things happening, and not knowing what this animation is going to be makes it more fun, I think, because then it's nice to not have things to worry about. And it's nice to just put your trust in the people you know and let them have fun and collaborate with your art and their art and all this art coming together. It's how it's all supposed to be, I think, like just artists doing stuff together and not worrying about it, just having fun, playing. We don't do enough playing as grown-ups, and this is part of it, I think. Just, yeah, having a laugh.
What band t-shirt are you wearing?
This one is Waves of Dread from North Shields. I recorded their debut album. I think it was their debut album. And I bought this at the album launch.